Yeah, I've received Ubisoft's new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, a few days early. Full disclosure, I am a Ubisoft partner, so Ubisoft did give me this game for free. They've given me games in the past for free as well, for review and to stream and such. Although all of my opinions are indeed my own, it really doesn't matter what I say about it. They'll still either continue to keep me as a partner or whatnot. So I have literally nothing to gain or lose by sucking up to it. In fact, I was very honest with my review about Star Wars Outlaws, even though I got that game for free. Like I talked at length about how I was not a fan of the mandatory stealth segments that ended in a failure if you get caught, among other issues. Although I did enjoy Star Wars Outlaws purely because I'm a Star Wars fan. I thought it was a very solid 7 out of 10. Definitely rough around the edges. But this video is about Assassin's Creed Shadows and what I think about it. And I know there's a lot of videos out there about this game where people are talking about essentially culture war BS, where they're constantly bringing up reasons to hate the game or to hate on Yasuke specifically. And I'm not going to go into any of that because I think it's stupid as all hell. I'm here to talk about the game specifically and whether or not it's a good game or a bad game, or if it's worth buying or not, regardless of any your feelings towards certain characters or the setting or whatnot. Because I think it's just childish at this point to be obsessed with that sort of thing. But in regard to this game compared to the previous Assassin's Creed games, I played Origins and Odyssey, and I'll be honest, I wasn't completely sold on the shift to an RPG in this game. And in fact, one of the things I haven't really enjoyed much about Shadows is the RPG mechanics left over. They definitely toned it down a little. I know I've not played Mirage, but I know in Mirage, they stripped down a lot of the RPG mechanics. I think the RPG mechanics were what really detracted me out of Odyssey and Origins. I really enjoyed Odyssey. Odyssey I thought was fantastic. My biggest complaint about Odyssey was the fact that quests were level gated. So if you wanted to continue on with the main story, you'd have to do a certain number of quests to reach the level you need to be in order to continue. And that really broke up the flow of the story, which I didn't like, because sometimes I wanted to see what happens next. And I couldn't go on to the next quest because I was 5 levels too low and I had to go do some side quest to progress, which I did not like. I've not played Valhalla. I'm not sure how different Valhalla is, or Mirage. I heard it is actually a lot more egregious than Valhalla. But I was not a fan of the RPG mechanics. Like, they have turned it down a little bit in this. One thing I like is they give you the option. If you go into the settings, actually, I'll show you what this is. You might want to change it yourself. If you go over to the gameplay, go to difficulty tuning, you can put on guaranteed assassinations on. I'm playing this on the highest difficulty because I like my challenge. I think normal difficulty is a little too easy. I think these games have always been easy. They're not meant to be hardcore games. I do like a bit of a challenge. I think expert is fine. It's still a little easy. Stealth isn't exactly the best. But I still put it on higher anyway. But I like guaranteed assassinations. I think as an Assassin's Creed game, if you stab someone in the throat, they should die. And that was one of my most frustrating things with Odyssey, because Odyssey, as much as I love the story and the characters, it just takes me out of the experience. Oh no, that's okay. So this is one of the issues. If I shoot him in the head with a kunai, he's not going to die. He's only going to lose a third of his health, which is not what I want. I'd want to kill him specifically, so I might just go for the assassinate. Although he's got friends nearby. Are they looking at him? No, he's not. Okay. This is why the buddy system is important. But yeah, guaranteed assassinations is one thing I really like about this, because in Odyssey, there was enemies were just damage sponges, which was not a fun thing, and it didn't make the combat any more difficult. It just made it more tedious. I think the combat in this is definitely a lot better, so the controls are much better. It's definitely a massive improvement over Odyssey, in my opinion. Although occasionally the parkour can fail. There have been times where the parkour has gotten me stuck in places where I didn't want to get stuck in. Oh, I can take you. I can take you. No, I cannot. See, if they're a few levels higher than you like that, they can instantly kill you in a single hit. Which can be frustrating at times, but I think that's just one of the issues you get when you get games that have RPG mechanics like this. That's based on damage numbers entirely from loot you equip. So it depends. Your mileage will vary depending on how comfortable you are with this kind of RPG gameplay. I personally think it has its ups and downs. It could be a lot more worse. I mean, it was worse in the previous games. I think it definitely is an improvement. Although, like I said, it will depend whether or not you think it's enough of an improvement. I do think it's probably the best Assassin's Creed game since Odyssey. Odyssey was my favorite game since AC4. AC4 was my absolute favorite in the series. Although you might not agree with all of the things I decide on, because I also liked AC3, which I know a lot of people did not like. I was a big fan of Haytham Kenway and that character. So you might not agree with me and all my takes, which I thought I'd be transparent about. In regards to the story of this game, I don't hate the story of this game. I know most of it, because if you're someone who knows about Japanese history, and specifically the whole unification of Japan and Oda Nobunaga, you'll probably know the broad strokes of the story of this game. Which isn't the worst thing. I think Naoe's story is quite interesting. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as Odyssey, where you can take on enemies that are a few levels higher than you. They'll do a lot more damage to you as a result. But if you are good at dodging and evading and blocking, you can take them out. Like, these are all like 1 or 2 levels higher than me. I think combat is also... This is very early in the game, so you're not seeing a lot of the stuff that's in the game. That's in late game combat. This is only in the first 10 hours or so. Now, as Naoe, you die in a lot more, like a lot less hits than Yasuke would. He can tank quite a few more because he's wearing armor and she isn't. See, this guy here, he's going to be a challenge because he's wearing armor, so my attacks aren't going to do much damage to him. So it's better off I run away from this guy. Naoe is more suited to hit and run tactics. Now that they've lost sight of me, I can then go ahead. Nope, they've seen me. They've seen me. So, the enemies that you see here, that's got the red bullseye over his head, they are ranged enemies who have a lot more vision. They can see you from further away. They're a lot harder to lose. I think the enemy variety in this game is definitely decent enough. It's passable enough, for sure. Like, you're not fighting a lot, because I think one of the issues in the very early Assassin's Creed games, if you have played them, is how early on in the games, the series, enemies tend to be very sort of samey, in the sense that there really isn't much of a difference. Maybe there's occasionally one enemy that's bigger than the others, but that's about it. This one does offer a little bit more variety than usual, not like a massive amount, but it's enough to keep the combat interesting, where you're constantly changing up your tactics. And I think having a dual protagonist is a bit of a mixed bag as well. This game is very much a mixed bag in the sense that, yeah, you have enemies that make you change up your tactics, but it also depends on the character you're playing as, because Yasuke isn't really a stealth character. He's more of a melee-focused character, and a lot of people have said that he doesn't feel... Like, gameplay-wise, not story-wise. Story-wise is fine, but his gameplay doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed in the sense that you're not doing assassin stuff, like sneaking around or doing assassinations. You're running in and more brawler action gameplay style. And it doesn't quite fit right in the series for a lot of people. I think it does depend. I thought it was fine. I think, for me, personally, I saw it as, if you played Ghost of Tsushima, And I am gonna make the comparison between Ghost of Tsushima. But in Ghost of Tsushima, you have different types of armor sets. You have the samurai heavy armor, which I would normally use for boss fights or one-on-one duels, and then you have the Ronin attire for sneaking around in, right? And I would change up outfit depending on the approach I was taking or what I was doing at the time. So if I was going to do 1v1 a samurai, I would use the samurai armor. If I was sneaking in and assassinating them, I would use the ghost armor or the Ronin attire, right? Essentially the same thing here in the sense that if you want to do sneaky stuff, you choose Naue. If you want to change to Yasuke when you fight a boss or want to go in and kill everyone head on without sneaking around, I see it the same way in Ghost of Tsushima as it is. Instead of just a different outfit, it's just a different character. So it's flavored a little differently. I will say one thing that I do think is a detractor is in Ghost of Tsushima, the way you chose to approach the game did affect the story. So if you were honorable and using your samurai armor and doing standoff duels and fighting them head on, it did have an impact on the game's ending and certain events in the game, right? Whereas in this game, depending on if you choose Naue or Yasuke, the change is somewhat minimal. So it doesn't really matter. It's all because they essentially divorced the gameplay from the story in a sense. So you're not compelled to play as one or the other. I mean, you are early on. When you first play the game, you play the first good few hours as Naue. You play the prologue as Yasuke, but it's a good while before Yasuke is properly introduced in the story as a character that you can like switch to freely. And there are moments, obviously, where you have to play a certain character for a certain story moment. But I will give the game credit where credit's due. I don't hate the gameplay of it. I think it's good. It doesn't have the narrative weight that Ghost of Tsushima did with its story and how it ties in with the gameplay. But I'm not gonna take points away from it from that because Assassin's Creed really isn't that type of single player game. If I were to compare it to anything, I think this goes for all Ubisoft games. It's like the junk food of AAA games. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense because junk food's amazing. Some nights you just want to order a pizza, right? Like if I would compare it, let's say Ghost of Tsushima, I'm using that one a lot. Like other games that are in that sort of caliber, let's say those are like, gourmet steak, like a Wagyu steak, right? Highly regarded as one of the best types of foods you can get. Very expensive, high quality food, right? But you wouldn't want to eat a Wagyu steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because you'd get very sick of it and it'd be very expensive and not good for you. You wanna have that variety, right? Variety is the spice of life. And I think that's why it's important to have games that follow this Ubisoft formula, this Ubisoft open world game, which I know some people think is tiring, but if you have nothing but junk food, you get tired of that too. I think that's the distinction, right? We don't want too much of one thing. It's why, like, when Breath of the Wild came out, it was amazing, and then every game copied Breath of the Wild, and then everyone was sick of Breath of the Wild because it was done to death, right? Same with Dark Souls. Dark Souls came out, everyone copied Dark Souls, and now we have a dime a dozen Dark Souls clones. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. I don't hate the variety of it. I don't think these games are bad or they should be gone. In fact, you know what? There is one thing I want to complain about. Like, I want to say, because there's been a lot of discussion in regards to the game and the controversy, and a lot of it is manufactured and fake outrage, right? The whole video clip of someone destroying a shrine in the game and then being like, oh, look at the bad stuff you can do in the game. That's fucking stupid, right? Considering in GTA, you can go do a mass shooting at any point, anywhere in the world there. And no one's ever had a problem with that. These are open world games. You're supposed to be able to do anything you want. And I think people manufacturing outrage like that is stupid because it detracts from the real outrage. Because there is some genuine outrage you should have for this game. And if I were to do this, it's cleverly hidden there, but there's a fucking in-game door in a single player game. This is a full price, $70, whatever amount you pay for it, video game, right? And it still has cosmetic microtransactions in it, which I think shouldn't be the case. There is no reason these things shouldn't be just unlockable stuff, right? And I hate the fact that Assassin's Creed is still trying to make you spend real money in a game that you've already paid for. I think there's also a battle pass in this as well, which I'm not sure if it's in the game yet or it might not be yet. or it might be future plans for it. And they scaled it back a little bit. So one of the worst things in the series was in Origins and Odyssey is when they sold you EXP boosters, because the reason I never finished Odyssey is because they level gated the content to an egregious degree. And then they had the audacity to say, if you want to do the next quest, you can always buy this EXP booster, which was enough to make me uninstall the game. And this is coming from someone who loved Odyssey. I loved that game. I loved the setting. I loved the character. I really enjoyed the story. But the microtransactions and over monetization of that game made me uninstall it before I finished it. That was egregious, in my opinion. This game still has it, although it's only cosmetic this time. But I think the amount of people who are mad at this game because there's a black samurai in it are stupid as all hell, when they should be mad at other things. Like a battle pass and microtransactions in a full price game that should not be there in a single player game of all things as well. And that's why I generally don't like the discourse between people online when it came to this game, because everyone is mad about the wrong things. One thing I will say, if you do pick up this game, you are interested in Japanese history, if you want to play a Japanese game like this, play this game in immersive mode, which is what I'm playing it right now. So you're hearing the Japanese dub here. The English dub is fine. If you prefer English, or you know, you're not good at subtitles, that's fine. Play whatever you're comfortable with. But if you have the ability to you know, not read subtitles without any issues, like you're not like visually impaired in any way, so it's not an issue. I mean, to be fair, this game does have a lot of accessibility options, which can help with that, like different subtitle sizes and fonts and colors. But I will say play it in immersive mode, which isn't just Japanese dub, right? They blend in the Japanese and the Portuguese dub, and I think it sounds really fucking good. I think it does a great job of immersing you into the game, to the point where I wish every Assassin's Creed game did this. Because these are meant to be historical fiction, right? And they're supposed to put you into setting and make you feel like you're part of the setting. I think the blend of different dialects and stuff and the voice acting in immersive mode really pulls me in a lot more than the English dub did. And there's no hate to the English dub here. If you prefer the English dub, that's fine. I'm really enjoying this game a lot more since I changed to the immersive mode. To the point where I'd say give it a go, even if you're someone who doesn't normally play the game in the Japanese dub or whatnot. Give it a try. I would recommend, just because nowadays Japanese dub is fantastic. It suits us so well. But I think those are mostly my initial thoughts I want to give to the game. I don't want to spoil any of the story or anything. I know essentially what happens in the story. A lot of people have been sort of mixed around it. It's not a bad story per se. It's more the first half is probably going to feel slow. Which is another complaint I had about Odyssey, and this review is turning into more of a complaint about Assassin's Creed Odyssey than it is about this. Purely because I'm upset about how much I enjoyed Odyssey, only to not finish it. I might go back to, I mean, I have returned to Odyssey, actually. I've been playing it again. But I've been enjoying, just because I wanted to compare the most recent Assassin game I played to the most recent one that came out, which is this one. So I just want to have a point of comparison. And what I can say, like, gameplay-wise, this game runs fantastic. It looks fantastic. It runs on the Steam Deck, which I think is amazing. So if you have a Steam Deck, I tried it out on Steam Deck as well. I got the Uplay version, which was annoying to set up on Steam Deck, but still runs on Steam Deck just fine. Runs at a solid frame rate. I've not had any visual bugs or issues. There has been this typical NPC glitch here or there, like which every open world game has, where an NPC gets stuck on the terrain, and it can be kind of funny and goofy at times. I had this one farmer that was walking in a field, and he got caught on the step, and it looked like he was doing the moonwalk, which I thought was quite funny. But I've not had any game-breaking glitches or bugs. Like, this is a very polished game. I think the delay did a lot of good for it, because I think this might actually be the most polished game Ubisoft have ever put out, actually, now that I think about it. If you guys remember the nightmare that was Assassin's Creed Unity, probably tanked their reputation when it first came out. And they have had a reputation for not having the most smooth game launches as well since then. I think this probably is the most polished game they've ever put out. If you're curious at all enough to want to try this game and are wondering if I would recommend it or how strongly I would recommend it, I will say, and I've said this before on my streams before, if you want a Japanese style game like this, if you're into Japanese history and culture, I would recommend this game specifically because it does a great job of capturing the time period and the story that it tells. It's a popular story. You probably would have heard it like a million times over in other Japanese media because it's a popular time period. So you might be familiar with the events already, even. But I would recommend this game. I think it's really good. Although, I have said as well, if you only had enough money to buy one game and you've not played Ghost of Tsushima or are considering picking up Ghost of Yote, I can't really comment on Yote because Yote is not out yet. But if you're considering between this and games like Rise of the Ronin or Ghost of Tsushima, I will say Ghost of Tsushima might be the better option to pick up. Because I think the way the gameplay and the story in Ghost of Tsushima harmonizes and like has synergy is generally fantastic. And that game essentially is a masterclass when it came to innovation in video games. Like there are so many things in Ghost of Tsushima I wish other games would steal. Like the fact that the UI is practically not there, or the fact that instead of a big quest markers and stuff, they use animals like birds and foxes to guide you to points of interest, or the wind, which is so creative. And I wish more games would steal that idea. But again, this game does have the Ghost of Tsushima. It does have flaws as well, and I think this game has similar flaws to Ghost of Tsushima, in the sense that you get a lot of repetitive quests, and that's an issue with a lot of Ubisoft games as well. You get a lot of quests where go here, clear this bandit encampment or fortress or whatever, and you get the same thing in Ghost of Tsushima. You go here, beat the Mongols, clear the area. Go here, beat the Mongols, clear the area. Right? Same thing. So these games are very similar. If you had to pick one out of the two, I would probably recommend Ghost of Tsushima over this one. But that could change. That could very easily change, depending on how much this game gets support. Because they have plans to release DLC and stuff for this game as well. I would want to fight you. There's a lot of enemies nearby, aren't there? You know what? Fuck it, why not? I stopped over someone's head, that's not a good thing. The combat definitely in this game is quite good. It's very similar, in a sense, to Ghost of Tsushima, but I think Ghost of Tsushima does have a smoother combat. It's a massive improvement on the previous games. Like, I played this back-to-back with Odyssey, and the difference is night and day. The animations are a lot smoother as well. In fact, the combat in Odyssey, in comparison now when I go back to it, feels kind of bad. Probably good for its time, but the animations just flow much smoother. It's very similar to Ghost of Tsushima. You have attacks that you can parry, attacks you have to dodge. And the combat flow is very similar, which is why I'm having a more or less easy time dealing with these guys. So I'm used to this type of combat. Oh, I say that and then he kills me immediately. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. I'm planning on playing more of this going forward. And I would recommend it. But I know people don't care about it being a 7 or 8 out of 10. They want to know if it's a 10 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. I think that's the only thing people care about, right? And I think if I want to get to the heart of that, is this the best game out this year? I don't think it is. In fact, I think it came out in time where we have a lot of very good games. We've got Split Fiction and Monster Hunter Worlds that just came out as well. I think both of those games might be a step above this one. And then we have games like Elden Ring, Night Rain, Doom, The Dark Ages, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Delta coming out this year. So it's going to be a very stacked year. Death Stranding too. So I don't know if this game's going to have a shot at Game of the Year, but it's easily the best Assassin's Creed game that's come out in a very long time. And I can if you're a fan of the series, I fully recommend it. At this point, you don't even need to listen to what I've been saying. Just get the game already. If you played any of the previous ones, if you like the RPG ones, you'll like this one as well. If you like Japan in general, if you happen to be a massive weeaboo like me, who loves anime in Japan and watched all the episodes of Shogun like 3 times over on Disney Plus, yeah, this is a no-brainer for you. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows. I would recommend it. It's not a 10 out of 10 perfect masterpiece of a game, but it's probably the best game Ubisoft have put out since Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I think. And the best Assassin's Creed game since Odyssey. In fact, probably the best game since AC4, actually. Yeah, I'd say it's the best one since Black Flag. Anyway, those have been my thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, hit that like, subscribe, comment below if you got this game already, if you're planning on getting it. If I've changed your mind about it, if you want to get it now, or if you change your mind and don't want to get it now, let me know below. And keep the discussion civil. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. I also live stream on the channel like I'm doing right now. If you want to watch me streaming, please do. Pop by whenever I am live. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one.